Good morning, Mike Shine. This is the 100 Millionaires podcast. My name is Gualter Amarillo, and I am your host. Mike, bring us in with your intro.
Morning, Gualter. Massive income from passive income. Living the dream.
Today, I titled it on Facebook, it's going to be a tough day to be humble. I know that you and I both own a few of the same shares of stock, a couple different companies. And today just seems to be one of those days where all the stars are aligned. Everything is going up except for the S&P 500. I have a growth stock called Vanguard's High Growth, and I can't remember what it's MGK, MKG, and that stock normally rises very good. You know, it did 40% last year. Today, that stock took a little dip. And all the other stocks, although Tesla did dip for a second, it came right back up, and my others are doing really well. Still early in the day.
You got the key thing that you just said at the end there. It's still early in the day.
Still super early.
I'm working on having joy from the inside, not based on external results. And what I noticed is that sometimes I wake up and I look at the stocks, and if Tesla's up, I'm happy, and if it's down, I'm not. And this is not a way to live. You should be joyful.
It's not a way to live.
Exactly. But I have had the experience in the past where you're all excited, the stocks are all up, and then by 2 p.m, it's easy to be humble.
So we'll get our humility back potentially, and
No
if
way.
we don't get it back today, I'm sure we'll get it at some point. But that's why we diversify, right? So you diversify to live a boring life, and you go focus to live a very exciting life.
Exactly.
Like Warren Buffett said, put all your eggs in one basket and guard that basket.
Exactly.
So this is not all about stocks, and we're gonna I'm sure be diving back into stocks a lot because you and I are playing with some of our wealth in stocks and gaining quite a bit of wealth in stocks right now. Real estate as a whole seems extremely strong, and so
Right. No inventory.
no inventory, no sign of inventory lighting up, like coming up in the near future. And we talk about these foreclosures, we talk about the banks going to be taking some stuff back, but I got the question to ask: what are they taking back? What really is there for the bank to take back in a time where inventory is so high, so low, and demand is so high?
Yeah, that was an interesting shift because I think like a year ago, the banks were not interested in doing fix and flips. Like that was,
Right.
If you were trying to get money, you couldn't. I don't do flip. I mean, I've done a couple, but I don't do those. But I just noticed that they were always saying no to the fix and flips. And then now it's turned on its head. I think the banks, my thought on this is that the banks loan on fix and flips because they know that they can loan the money, and that because there's no inventory out there, they're going to get their money back as soon as it's sold on the market, as opposed to the buy and hold people who, just want to buy it and hold it for a long time, and that they're not as keen on it now, I guess.
Right. And so there's another element out there that is wiping it out as well, right? This low interest rate market, this COVID pandemic is making people say, man, I really would like to own a house right now. Builders are feeling very strong right now. Builders at this point in the market should have been frozen up, scared, running away.
Right.
And yet they're pushing in, and previously they were pushing in that multifamily. Now you're seeing builders shift back to single family homes out in the suburbs. So it's becoming a very, very unique market. And I don't think we're going to see it. I don't think we're going to see a serious real estate crash, if we see one at all.
Right.
I think that
My dad had a subdivision in Swansea,
Yeah.
and he had one builder build most of the houses in there, but there's one house left. And he switched to a different builder, and that builder has not been getting to this one lot, probably because he's so busy doing all his other projects.
Yep.
Basically, they've had at least 3 different buyers who are ready to go, and then he didn't get it done. So my father's extremely frustrated because as soon as this thing is put up, it'll be sold. It's
Right.
just amazing.
Your dad's probably making money, honestly, by it not being put up yet. The
Yeah,
longer it
right?
gets put up, the more he's gonna make when it's built. So this is like 2004. You build a house, and if it took you longer, you got paid better. So
That's good. That's good. I don't think he sees it that way. He's like, I've
I
had
doubt he
enough.
does. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
He
like that with
had
the
he had
condos.
he had two subdivisions that he was involved in, one in Lincoln, Rhode Island, and the other in Swansea. And last week they sold the last in Lincoln, and now they've just got one more in Swansea. My dad lives in Florida and comes up here in the summer. He doesn't need to worry about one more house, so he just wants it out of his hair at this point. But
Yeah, and you know
yeah,
what's funny? Like he's living in Florida and still investing here. Like this is where he knows what makes sense for him. Still has his connections here, so like it definitely makes money. And Florida is tough to invest in. There's
well, I mean,
definitely
that's not, these dragged on for years and years and years, and then now because the market is so hot, they finally are closing up and being done. But he did invest in Florida, and
I
the
was gonna
same
say,
thing
yeah,
Same thing happened there. The market crashed. Remember when the market crashed in Florida and you could buy anything?
yeah,
Well, he had a lot of property that he had to take back from some of these builders, and now same thing's happening down there. He's just kind of winding up all those projects. So pretty
so
cool.
he was sitting on a bunch of inventory,
Yep.
waiting for the market to turn. Market has turned, and now he's like, man, we gotta burn and turn, and he's feeling it.
And the other thing that was happening was his was like raw land, and so all these people would come to him and say, "Oh yeah, I'd like due diligence," but then somewhere along the line they would ask my dad to partner with them, and my father
Right.
was, "Why do I need you as a partner? If I wanted to do it, I would just do it." So even though he's in his 80s, in the last he's very energetic for his age. It's pretty amazing. He just had a hip replacement yesterday. Anyway, but so he can get back on his bike. But he ended up doing all the steps that it takes to get all of the projects engineered, working with the engineers, getting the roads in, all that kind of stuff that all these tire kickers wanted to do with him because he
Right.
had had enough. And now he's sold most of these projects. I think he's got like one left, but they're like subdivisions in Florida that are being bought by publicly traded companies like KB Homes, like a 50-unit subdivision.
Yep.
So yeah,
He's
it's
working
pretty
on the
aw-
right projects right
it's
now in
pretty
Florida.
awesome.
That is
Yeah.
amazing. So as I was saying, investing up here makes sense.
Yeah.
I remembered that he owned a bunch down there.
Yeah. And I was just thinking of you because you're going
Yeah.
down to Tampa
If
in
it's 50
November.
units or more, I'll buy it.
Yeah. So no, but I'm sure you're going to be looking in Florida when you're down there.
I have already decided I'll be lining up all the brokers down there. Anybody who plays with commercial real estate, other people I'll connect with. I have no intention of connecting with anybody unless they're in contact with somebody who owns a 50 or more unit building.
Nice.
And other than that, I'll be writing a book, right? Like that's my decision.
Awesome. Well, keep me in mind if you're looking for partners on those deals, because
Of course.
that's my goal, is to get the larger uh, apartment buildings.
And that's, you've been saying that for a long time. And I think that doing it down there makes more sense because it's the direction you're going in.
Yeah.
So, I agree. I think it makes sense to buy in the South, right? Like buying up here in New England, we're still going to see appreciation. We're still going to see growth, but the South is where everybody wants to be. It just,
Right.
it
Right.
doesn't make sense to stay on a sinking ship. It makes sense to go where everybody wants to go, but beat them there and then charge them when they show up.
And they also have a lot of the properties that fit that description of like 100-unit
Yeah.
apartment buildings. There's a lot of them. So it's cool.
Developing is more accepted in the South.
Yeah.
Developing, the land is more available. It's
Right.
just
So
here,
cool.
so many barriers to entry to develop and build. Whereas down there, it's sure if you will follow our codes, go ahead, knock yourself out.
Right.
Here, it
And
could take you.
the remember we had Diami on the show. The stuff that the company he worked for, where they ended up with over $500 million in assets. It was all the Sun Belt.
Yeah,
So, Georgia, Florida, Texas, Arizona. It's cool. So
it it's just what makes
where
sense.
we're all heading there, right?
That's the plan. Or it's going to be a mass exodus out of New England down to the south.
That's
Um,
right.
until then, as and I see that at some point real estate will get cheaper up here again because of that exodus, and so people will shift back and forth as they always have.
Yeah.
And at that point, if we're still around and the shifts are continuing, I'll buy back up here again. Not
Yeah.
to say we're not buying, right? We're buying another 8 units in 2 weeks, so we're still
Yeah.
buying.
Nice job. So you're not. We were talking about no inventory, but you keep buying stuff. That's awesome.
It's all
Yeah.
about your network. Your net
Yeah.
worth is your network.
What kind of a property is the 8 unit?
So it's actually two buildings. It's a 5 and a 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're on the same lot, same parking lot. So if we ever decide to sell them separately, we'll have to split them,
Mm-hmm.
which we've done before. No big deal. And but we want the inventory. We really
Yeah.
want the inventory.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah.
It's it's
You know,
okay to that.
I was saying while I was mentioning that there's no inventory, but I've noticed in the last couple of weeks that there are more deals that I've been seeing.
Yeah.
My network is calling me and saying, hey, there's this, hey, there's that. There wasn't any of that a few weeks ago. So it's kind of, there is a little bit of a shift. I don't know what's causing that. Maybe you do.
We're seeing people who are in a financial situation say, you know what, I'm just going to let this house go. It's time to get out, but it will be short. It will be short-lived. It won't be like 2008, 2009,
Right, right,
2010, because back then there really was a big, massive issue with the real estate industry, right? The financial market and the real estate industry.
right.
This time it's a pandemic, so some are affected, but most are not. And so the people who are looking to buy are still looking to buy. Like the supply is so low, the demand is so high that those desperate people who are looking to sell it, just I got to get rid of this. They're going to
Mm,
be just absorbed very quickly.
right.
So
Yeah, I'm
it's
seeing that. And I'm also seeing the stuff that I'm talking to people about is I don't see the sellers being so desperate and flexible. I guess it is. They're like, this is it. I want to get out, but this is what I'm offering for it.
yeah,
Take it or leave it. So I've seen that
yeah.
too. Yeah.
I got a buddy who called me yesterday, and he was asking, whether it was a good deal or not. What he was getting for a property, he was selling it off market, 10 unit in New Bedford. He was selling for, I want to say it was 625, and with there was mostly one bedrooms. And I told him, I was
Mhm.
like, well, you put it on the market, you'll probably get maybe 7, and but you'll have to bring it through. You got to wait for the financing. It sounds like he has a very strong buyer. So I told him it's up to you. To me, I probably would go with this closing. I would just probably run it this way. Um, but for him, he bought it for way less, so he's making money on it.
Nice.
And I think the next investor will make some money on it too. Like and for
That's
him,
cool.
he's just looking to buy stuff back in Boston.
Yeah.
Makes more sense for him to buy where he lives. He did a little bit down here, but he did a little bit in Boston. Watched both and watched the appreciation happen in Boston, not in New Bedford.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
and there was cash flow there, but he also said he he name dropped the property management company he's using, which is known for bleeding out landlords. And so
Oh,
I told him, I was like,
really?
well, the cash flow issues are your property manager, just from
Gotcha.
personal experience, what I've heard from other people. That's the issue. So you might want to, adjust that before, if you were cash flowing, would you keep the building? Is the
Gotcha.
conversation we had. So
Nice. I
real
think I'm
estate,
going in a different direction. I've got like 5 properties up here, but I really would like to get something like 50 to 100 units, like an apartment building
yeah,
I'm talking to somebody in Georgia right now. I just mentioned to you, if you're down in Florida, that's just kind of because if you could just pick up one, you know, 100 unit apartment, you're on your way. You don't have to keep picking up 3 here, 5 here, 8
Yeah.
here. I mean, I get it. It's just not.
Trust
It's
me,
not.
it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I just want to figure out the way to buy the 50 or 100 unit and have really good management and collect it and watch it appreciate, and that's it. And if you get one, I feel like that then you've got the confidence to go get another one. I mean, it kind of reminds me of like who is it, Matt Pitchney, talking about his deal down in Texas now, like a 400 unit. That's, even if you do it as part of the syndication, I don't see, I think that's great. I don't know, that just seems the way to go.
I agree with you, Mike. So it's fascinating that we're having this conversation. So I say this all the time because people, you've heard it, people accuse me of, why would you train your competition? And like, I will not be buying those 3-family houses, right? Like,
Yeah,
or like as I see a 3-family in the portfolio, my first thought is I'm selling that. Like we're picking up a 3-family right now with this
yeah,
5 unit, and Ron and I have already agreed that thing's getting sold, right? Like there's no reason for us to hold a 3-family at this point in the game for
nice.
exactly the reason you just said.
Yeah,
And we're currently evaluating our portfolio to see what we could sell the entire portfolio for, so we could roll it into just a bigger complex, a 50 unit to 100 unit,
exactly.
because it would be so much easier. It's one purchase, and then it's just one management in place, one building to go to. Um,
Right. And you're also, even though people don't, or newbies don't necessarily understand this, but there's less risk in a larger property because if you have a single family home and you lose that one tenant, then you're at zero. If you have a 100 unit and you lose 1 or 2 tenants, you're still at 98% occupancy and your carrying costs are still being taken care of. I love that. You
it's
know?
it's just common sense, right? When you really look at it, like anybody who's real estate investing, like you would want to have as many units as you possibly can per closing, unless you're new to the game and you're afraid of tenants, right? Like you're just doing tenants because you have to or something, right? Like I know in Bigger Pockets, every time I'm responding to one of the posts, people are saying, yeah, I just want to start with a duplex. And it's like, duplex, you know, they're the same price as a triplex, right? Like they're the
Yeah.
same exact price. Why are we doing this? Well, because, tenants, I want to overwhelm myself.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like that's the one thing you want to overwhelm yourself with is
Right.
tenants.
Get
They pay.
get a quad. Get a quad.
Right.
Fourplex with an FHA. Oh my
So
God.
when you're starting out, a fourplex with the FHA is the
Yeah.
ultimate
Yeah.
strategy, right?
Right.
The only thing we ever run into is whether or not there's inventory in the area. Do they
Exactly.
have fourplexes?
Exactly. Exactly. People seem more comfortable saying, "Oh, I'll just get a 3-family." It's like, well, if you could get 4, get
If
4.
if you could get 4, you
Yeah.
would.
Yeah.
And I've owned a few 4-families. I've owned a bunch of 3-families. I don't think I've ever owned a 6, but I've owned a few 5s, got the 10, and then a bunch of
Nice.
condos. And
Yeah.
of all of the things I've owned, all the things I own, the 10 family, the 10 unit is by far my favorite, although the condos are in a close next. I like the condos more than anything. To be perfectly honest, they're in better
Oh,
condition.
it's amazing deal that you got on that. That's just amazing. So,
There's more of them,
yeah.
and I can sell them off as I want. The problem with the 10 unit, it's 10 units. Like
Yes.
very hard to sell, and I want most of it. Whereas with the condos, like I find that I'm like, I don't like that side of the building, or that's a 1-bedroom. I'm just going to sell the 1-bedrooms.
Right.
Or I just want a little capital, and I can transition slowly instead of having this whole 24-unit building that is
Right.
hard to sell.
That's awesome. It's nice if you can piece off. That's great. With me, I'm looking at some small commercial properties because it just reminds me of that Warren Buffett thing when there's blood in the water.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying, oh, commercial, stay away from commercial.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing it. COVID, nobody's going home. I mean, nobody's leaving their home to work.
Yeah.
I totally disagree. I found one that I'm looking at right now that's got small offices for like a single hair salon or a single accountant, or whatever. And I think the price is right on that one. And so if I pick that up, it needs work, so it's like a nice burst strategy, and I still think you can get the money because it's not crazy expensive. So it's just that's the type of thing I'm picking up while I'm looking for something bigger. Yeah.
We evaluated commercial and we said there are 6 types of tenants that we don't see going anywhere in the future. But here's the irony: they're getting crushed right now by COVID-19.
Right.
So the irony is that these 6 tenants that we believe are the strongest type of tenant that you could have
Yeah.
are all service-based tenants that you have to go to their location.
Exactly.
So when you're looking at
Massage
commercial,
therapists,
massage therapist,
hair
hairstylist,
salon.
barber, nail salon,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yoga instructors,
Yeah. Exactly.
and any kind of fitness trainer,
Nails.
nails,
Fingernails. Mani pedis.
yes, mechanics. Although with Tesla, it may not be as you're pretty much a computer tech from that point forward.
Yeah.
So there's just a couple of spots, a couple of industries that were like, these will be here for a long time to come.
Yeah.
But COVID's knocked them out right now, right? COVID's knocked them out. It's so
I love that because like the one I'm looking at is like I said it's an estate, so like a group of family members out of state, um, reasonable price and just something I can pick up and have a contractor. I saw someone fix up something very similar on the same street, so I'm going to give him a call because I love what he did with this one building. I know him. I don't know him well, but I love what he did with this one building. So I'm just gonna. It's a very similar building. Have him make the building look pretty, fix some of the issues it has, and then raise rents. But it'll just be a great asset and a great location. Yeah, it's cool.
absolutely nice. That's the strategy, Mike.
Yeah.
So that's one way to make money during this COVID pivot, right? Like, so
Yeah.
like you said, we see blood in the water, we see opportunity. We've been looking around at commercial property as well because it's something that we haven't in the past understood. Like the big commercial, we still don't have an appetite for. It's going to have to be very low for us to figure it out.
Right.
But those storefronts on the first floor, that's
Exactly.
easy enough for us. We can handle those small storefronts.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not talking about something big because there are actually right in North Kingstown 2 big buildings that I've looked at pre-COVID, and I'm not going near them now. I mean, I was all hot for those 2. Went and visited them twice, talked to the owners, all that kind of stuff, or talked to one of the owners. Anyways, but yeah, it's not
Yeah.
too much carrying costs, and you'd have to fill too much to get it. Yeah, so the smaller ones, and I already have that. Like my office here is a small commercial. My office building in East Greenwich is a small commercial. Well, it's mixed use, so it's something we know. We know what we're talking about. So that's cool.
You know, it makes sense. And so we got some plays on the real estate side. And yes, we're doing a couple flips right now. We're doing some stuff.
Yeah, you're crushing it.
We're making some money.
He says it's tough to be modest today.
It's a very tough day to be modest, to be humble.
Especially you. I don't know.
Oh man, I don't even have it in me. Like I really don't.
I have Gualter envy. I'm like, wow, I can't believe he's got another building under.
Oh, it's
so awesome,
Mike. But so when you do the bigger deals, it's all you need is one good deal a year. Right?
Exactly. That's what Matt Pitchney said on that on Darina's thing when you were speaking.
That's it.
Like I just got this one deal. It takes me all year to find this one deal, but when I find it, what was that one? That was like built in the 70s, has a bunch of deferred maintenance. And so, you sit there and you say, well, we went from 25 units to 50 units. And then he says, I went from this to 417. You're like, what?
Yeah. It gets you thinking bigger.
Yeah. So awesome.
And so those
like Great Cardone.
10x it. And it takes just as much effort to do a big deal as it does to do a small deal.
Right.
It's the same amount of time, same amount of stress, same amount of concern. I have been a real estate agent for a very long time. Well, it feels like forever to me. And we've had a team, and I've trained agents for a long time. Every time I'm training an agent when they're dealing with their first buyer, that buyers, they could be buying a single family home, right? We talk about that as like, why would you waste your time? But
Yeah.
for that buyer, they're like, well, it's, I want to live there, and schools and
Yeah.
stuff and yard, right? And so they want to get their kids into this area. They're concerned about everything, right? When
Yeah.
we're buying, like, the condos is our biggest deal. So 24 units. And, Matt Pitching is buying, 400 and something units.
Yeah.
So when you're evaluating these deals, you're looking at it, and you and I have looked at some big deals. We've looked at 100-unit deals, 50-unit deals. We're evaluating them, saying, okay, rents are coming in. What are all these expenses?
Right.
And
Right.
where is this? This is a new expense I've never seen before. Why would they need this in this building?
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
this unique thing about the town is requiring this expense because the building was so big, or whatever. And so there's just like these tiny little differences, but it's the same amount of time spent on this deal evaluating it. And then once you've evaluated it, go to the bank and everything's about the same.
Yeah, well, the great thing for me, because I don't think I've analyzed as much as you. I mean, I know I haven't, but what I love is that what you said earlier, your network is your net worth. Because when it comes to questions like that, including you, I have three people right off the bat that if I have a question about how to analyze a deal or how to go to the bank, you guys are all there to say, well, this is what you need to do, and this is your next step. And so that's hugely valuable.
It's huge. You've
Yep.
got to have people. It's richest man in Babylon. You've
Yep.
got to have people who know what they're talking about, and you can take their advice. But
Yeah.
you don't ask my advice about cryptocurrency. I still don't know, right? I got some, but I'm
Mitch
not going to give advice.
Jaworski.
But I would ask Mitch. I would
Yeah.
ask Mitch Jaworski. I would ask your advice about some stocks. So
Yeah.
even now, you're doing some trading of some options. So I know I'd go to Carlos Bello for that information, but
Yeah.
for you,
Go to him way before you go to me.
right. But he trades futures and he trades options heavily,
Yeah.
whereas you trade fundamental companies. So you have very Warren Buffett mindset when you're trading companies. And so I go for your advice on those aspects. I go for your legal advice because you're the holistic attorney.
Thank you.
And so everybody's got this little niche in real estate, right?
Yeah.
Our buddy Diami, I go to him for large buildings. Like,
Yeah.
I'd be like, Mike, hey, you want to get Diami in on this one? It makes sense. He knows how to evaluate these large buildings.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
if it's, a small multifamily between 2 and 24, I've probably done a lot. I've done a lot.
I love watching that because it's like when we're in the group, you always joke around that I was there in Fall River. But what I loved about watching you is that you were so comfortable in an area that I'm in, but I'm not as comfortable. And so it's just fun to watch you just talk about, well, we took down this and this is what we did. And it was just like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, close. And it's just, I hope to get to that point soon. So yeah, it's cool.
It's repetition. And I think that even at this point, you've already done 5 of these.
Yeah.
You have quite a bit of experience.
Yeah.
And if somebody asked you, you'd be like, oh, it was no big deal. Your first sentence would be, it was no big deal.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is I deal with a lot of first-time home buyers, and it's the same thing. It's so much repetition. I've done thousands of closings. So when they ask, it's just comfortable for me. And I love that role because you're comfortable. I'm sure you feel the same way when you're up there just talking to a group. You're like, this is what you have to do because you're so confident that you know exactly how it's going to turn out. That's awesome.
That helps. And that's why you're great at the closings, right? You've seen all the issues, you know what they all are. Like, those words don't scare you. You're like, oh, you know what, this is what that is, what this is.
So it's always something crazy that, not always, but once in a while, something crazy comes up.
Once a week at a closing, there's this one where the buyer is just like, hold on. Why am I paying? Why are these funds escrowed for the water bill? Oh, that's pretty standard, actually.
I had this one deal where the buyer brought in this big giant white dog. Okay, so there's this big dog in the closing. Everybody's friendly, the seller's friendly with the buyer, and then with somewhere along the line, all this friendliness and happiness, there was a mistake in the oil reading. So myself and the other attorney are just looking at each other like, don't worry, this will be resolved in 5 minutes. We're just going to call the oil company, whatever.
Yeah.
But in that one split second, the seller was like, barking, sorry, no pun intended, but barking at the buyer about, oh, this is wrong. And she's like, don't you talk to me that way.
Wow.
And me and the attorney just kind of looked at each other and went, okay. And sure enough, it was the the oil company was supposed to do 3/4 of a tank, and
Yep.
they only did a half a tank or vice versa. And we
Yeah.
resolved it in 3 minutes. And after that, the seller kind of regretted the way he behaved, but it was already, nobody was talking about the nice white doggy anymore.
No, the dog was not there anymore. That's real estate closings, right? We keep the seller and the buyer separated the entire time, right? Because we know, like, if we don't, the deal will never happen because so many emotions. So as
Well,
realtors, we're like,
the COVID, I mean, COVID has actually benefited that for me. We don't have closings anymore with both parties and the realtors and the mortgage people in the room anymore.
nice.
And for the customer, it's just faster and it's more intimate. You know, it's just me and the signer, and if there's any questions, we address them pretty quickly. I love that part.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's how we've been doing it for a long time. You know, as investors, we're like, yeah, there's no reason for us to be there with the buyer. We already know that never works out.
right.
We'll sign our stuff first, handle them, and you know, like I go for the selfies if I'm the agent or one of my agents is the agent. Like sometimes I'll pop into closings just for the selfie and then I'm out.
Yeah.
Or you know, just to play safe something.
Yeah.
Every time I walk in, there's some sort of anxiety. There's always some sort of, well, he said, she said. It's like, guys, you're buying the house, you're selling the house. This is the last time you see each other. Let's end on a nice note. Where are the keys, please?
I did one closing a long time ago where the husband and the wife, unfortunately, were getting a divorce. And so you knew it was going to be tense in there. Okay, so, but everything's going fine, and I keep things pretty chilled. And everything's going fine. And then there was some adjustment on the settlement statement. So I stepped out of the room just for a second. And I hear from my conference room the wife screaming, well, if you hadn't been going out with strippers at the Foxy Lady, none of this would. And I was like, oh no.
Oh, I gotta get back in there.
Yeah.
For an episode of Jerry Springer.
We ended up having the wife sign. It was like just a quick claim deed, and he was signing off in a refi. But it took me like 3 hours to just sit with him alone and talk him down and kind of explain that, you know, I know his ego he's all angry with her, but you need to sign. This is the best thing for you. But yeah. Oh my God. And then I said, stay away from the strippers.
All right. Good advice. If you are a married man and you're going to the strip club, your wife had better be with you. I've seen this work out well.
Really?
If she's not there, I've seen it work out not well. So going back, Mike, humility, humble. Oh
yeah.
Watching the stock market today.
I'm looking at my.
I woke up and I knew it was going to be a good day because I made some really good moves yesterday.
Nice.
And I texted you that stock that I really think is going to keep rising, and it has continued all morning long, going up. We're at 7% increase today, but 24% increase for the week.
Oh, that's because of their earnings. You were saying that it was going up.
Earnings came in strong.
That's
and
awesome.
It's one of those companies that creates a product that I would consume.
Nice.
And it's healthy. And I know because Doreena's been buying a lot of those lately. So there's been a lot of it in the house. And I finally looked it up and I was like, you know what? What's going on with this company? And
that's cool. Yeah. Right, so I was just talking about the fact that one of the ingredients in batteries and the new batteries is
graphite.
And apparently,
I remember to remind you.
Yeah, thank you. Most of the graphite is in China, which can be an issue because if we have tensions with China, then that's a problem. But
Unless
Thank
you
you.
build your gigafactory in China,
Yeah, right.
in
Exactly.
which case, no problem.
Yeah, especially with that. Remember we watched that video about Tencent and how
Yeah,
Tencent.
Tencent, they were promoting Tesla,
Yeah, hang on one second. My door's.
and Tencent was a Chinese company, which, by the way, doing amazing. I believe they create video games.
Yeah,
So they create video games. Yeah, I bought a bunch of shares.
nice job.
Well, I obviously sold them because I made my money, and I shifted it back over to EXP, which again, $40 for the day. So not doing
Right.
too bad.
So that is a great point that they have a relationship, and that came from Chicken Genius. And let me back up and say again, like we always say, this is not stock advice. We are talking about our individual portfolios. We're a couple of guys who are more focused on real estate, but we do stocks, and so we talk about for the fun of it. But please do your own research. So that's number one.
Please
Number two,
always do your own research.
yeah, right. Even on real estate. Yeah,
Absolutely. Due
like, don't be
diligence.
lazy. Don't be lazy. So then, Chicken Genius, or was it Solving the Money Problem, had a thing on the relationship between Tencent, which is a Chinese company, and Tesla, which really kind of greased the wheels to allow Tesla to get in there and get that gigafactory up and running quickly because there's so much power in having a Chinese company behind you. Um, Tesla also has a relationship with a battery company in China called CATL, C-A-T-L. So they have relationships that can avoid the stress between the United States and China. Anyway, however, people are saying that it would be good to have, oh good, my AC turned off. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. It is too hot in here to not have air conditioning right now.
So anyway, there was a company that I think I mentioned before called Novonix.
Yep.
And Novonix is it's on the Australian Stock Exchange, although you can buy it over the counter in the United States. But they are known for doing battery testing for lots of big companies, including Samsung and Apple and Tesla. And their technology that's amazing is that they can test a battery's wear in a matter of a couple of weeks instead of having to wait like 9 or 10 months to see how long it lasts. So that's the one part. But their other part is that they have figured out a way to make graphite that is artificial graphite.
Yep.
And supposedly there's a lot of relationships between the people in Tesla and the people in Novonix. Even though it's an Australian company, their factories in Nova Scotia, Canada, and in Tennessee is where the other one. So it's kind of crazy but it was a merger. That's why it's on the Australian Stock Exchange. So Novonix, they're a very small company. It's just, stock is trading at just about $1 right now. And when I bought it, it was like at 60 cents.
Good
So
time to buy.
yeah. So yeah, right. So I watched a bunch of videos on it, and you can type in Novonix on YouTube and check it out. And like I said, there's a lot of relationships between the people at Novonix and the people at Tesla, and also the major battery expert there's a university in Nova Scotia that is a big affiliation with Tesla on doing all their battery testing and all the battery research and all that kind of stuff. His name is Jeff Don, I think Jeff Don, but he's at some university there, which is right next to Novonix, and Novonix has some sort of relationship with him. So there's all these interesting tie-ins with Tesla. So, and one thing that you need to know about the world is that because of Tesla and all the other EVs and because of cell phones, the world is battery constrained. So there is huge demand for batteries, and they can't meet this. So this is not going to be a winner takes all thing. So like if there's a company like CATL in China making batteries, That doesn't mean that companies in the United States are not going to succeed as well, because there's way too much demand for batteries around the world. So
Right.
they're all going to win. And Tesla has different solutions and different things, and it's going to be very exciting to see what they say on September 22nd, which is Battery Day for Tesla, because
Yeah.
a lot of these solutions will be showing on September 22nd. So that was Novonix. I've owned them for a few weeks, and I was just looking at them today, and they're up 8 cents to $1.05, and that's a huge move
That's a
for my little
massive move.
teeny, for
Yeah.
my little teeny stock. So meanwhile, I'm watching all these things on Novonix, and every time I see it come up, and it comes up on my YouTube feed, Novonix, Novonix, Novonix. And then recently, this other company came
How
up
do you
called
spell it? Novonix.
ONIX.
ONIS.
X is in X-ray.
All right.
And Novonix Limited. And they, but you got to be careful with these stocks, because NVNXF is the one on the over the counter, like here. And let me see what it is.
F. Oh, no kidding. So it doesn't trade on Robinhood.
Okay. But
Fascinating.
I watch it over, like I bought my first shares of it through Schwab over in Australia, like
Yeah.
at like, I think it was 10 o'clock at night in the United States. And in Australia, it's just NVX on the Australian Stock Exchange.
I love it. I love it.
So I called the lady at night, and it's funny. She's in Phoenix, Arizona with Schwab, and she's like, "What's the excitement with this stock? We're getting lots of calls on it." And I said, "Well, yeah, it has some relationship to Tesla." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And interesting, since I bought it, there's been this whole discussion that people in the United States, you can get it. I mean, you can just call and they have an international desk, that type of thing. But people have not been able, the younger investors probably don't know how to buy it.
Right.
So Novonix said, because there's so much interest in the West, that they're looking right now, it's probably not going to be till, I think they said late September, but they're going to be on a stock exchange in the United States that is more than just, like right now, there's this weird dynamic. If you want to buy in the United States, you're just buying from like private sellers. There's no like market being made for it. So all this interest, and my thought, and this is just my thought, and please, is that once they do get in September onto an exchange in the United States, I feel like it'll pop, because there's so much pent up demand for people who have seen this stock and said that it's a good, it's a good thing, but they don't know how to buy it in Australia. So,
Right.
I mean, I had to pay like $100 for the commission, from Schwab. Their international has like some sort of it's not like free, like, you did have to pay for some of it, but it was worth it for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to text you on that whole buying on the Australian Stock Exchange, because it will not let me do it on TD Ameritrade. So
I'm sure they have like an international trading desk.
yeah,
TD
I'm gonna
Ameritrade.
take a look.
That's what happened with me. Was I looked at Novonix, but okay.
Yep.
So moving on. So
Anyway.
I said, here's Novonix, and wow, it's a great little company and all this kind of stuff. But then there
Yep.
was a guy who did a YouTube video on this other company called Talga Resources, and it's crazy because it's a similar situation. It's on the Australian Stock Exchange,
Yep.
okay, except for this one. I haven't gone into how it ended up on the Australian Stock Exchange, but it was probably some sort of a merger also. But it is most of their mines, and they are real graphite, like not artificial graphite.
Right.
It's the real stuff. And most of their mines are in Sweden, and they have an investment by either the second or third richest woman in Sweden. And so their mines are up there, but again, it's on the Australian Stock Exchange.
I wonder if a lot of that is related to the fact that Tesla is from Australia.
No,
Yeah, that's where his family's from.
South Africa.
Is South Africa?
Yeah.
Okay, South
No,
Africa.
No, so
Correct.
what happened was I think it's because
Other
there are miners in Australia. I think that's what it is.
ah,
Big mining companies that are doing like gold and things like that. Because this Talga resource, besides having graphite, also does gold.
yeah.
You can look them up, but it's just a pretty interesting story. Same idea. Um, so they're the only two companies outside of China that do graphite, Novonix and Talga. So I said, you know what? I'm just gonna buy some Talga. And Talga I just bought on Schwab. I can give you that symbol, but it's that one. I didn't do the overnight thing. I just bought it because I asked the people on the conference. I mean, on the Schwab thing, I said, what's the difference between buying in the United States and buying in Australia? And they said it's just the volume of sales that of the number of shares being sold.
Well,
So
yep.
it's TLGRF, and that's the one in the United States.
Look at it.
TLGRF, and it's up 2 cents today, so that's cool.
So, Mike, we have a lot of different ways we can invest. Right now, you and I are heavily invested in capital gaining assets, right? Like Tesla doesn't make a dividend, EXP doesn't give a dividend, um,
Right.
Celsius doesn't give a dividend, Novartis doesn't give a dividend. All these companies we're investing in are high appreciation companies. You couldn't live off of this, right? Like
Right.
these things just throw off a ton of appreciation. And
Right.
so what you gain from that, if you did do a sale, would be capital gains. So the taxes are a little different. And the other piece is there's no dividend coming in. There's no rent check coming in. There's no profit coming in. It's
Right.
literally just your value of the company is going up. And this is essentially what Warren Buffett has turned Berkshire Hathaway into as well. It just creates more and more wealth, growing
Right.
its wealth. And so there's a lot of different ways to invest in the world, but if you're looking to retire and get passive income, you're gonna need a nest egg. You're gonna need some assets. And so
Right.
we're heavy in asset growth phase, but at some point you switch it over into dividend yielding stocks or rental property that is paid off and
Or
or
even that solution that we watched Chicken Genius talk about, where you just sell 4%
sell a
per
little bit
year,
of your capital every year,
and you just pay taxes on that 4%,
and you're
and
paying
live,
capital
live
gain.
off that. Yep.
As long as you held it for a year, you're going to pay capital gains on it, which is
Right.
a very good way to earn money. The
Especially
taxes,
if it's like a stock, even if it doesn't throw off a dividend, but like if it's gone up significantly, like Amazon, and you sell a little bit of it every, 4% or whatever you want to live on. Say you want to live on 8%, sell that every year, and hopefully it continues to grow uh, every year beyond that, or at least it equals out as growing that way. Yeah.
exponentially.
Yep.
So we're in capital growth mode, right? A lot of the world is scared, concerned, they're fearful of what's going on, but we're like, whoa, let's get this opportunity.
Yeah.
I was hanging out with a buddy this weekend. I don't know if you know Dave Lewis, but a good friend of mine, and he
Yeah.
shorted the market back in February.
Oh, really?
When the market went down, Dave was telling me he was refreshing his screen. He's like, "Oh my god, I cannot believe it's going down this much." Like this is as it went down, he made money, and his regret is he didn't put more into it when he played
That's
that short.
awesome. Yeah.
But he made money all the way down to the bottom.
Amazing. How do you know? How do you know it was the bottom?
He just saw it, right? The bottom, we hit resistance a couple times, and
Yeah.
I pulled the short out.
Yeah.
But don't be greedy, right? But
Right.
he stayed at the bottom for a long time, so it wasn't like it was a tough decision.
Yeah.
But he took $11,000, and in a couple of weeks had almost 5 times that money, more than 5 times that money,
Nice
in
job.
a couple of weeks on a short. Now, there's very few shorts of that size in history, but the point is that he knew he was in the right position at the right time, had an awareness, and he didn't expect it to be as good as it was, but he also didn't cut the short. He didn't pull out until he saw a reason to, and made a ton of money off of it. Same with Tesla. I look back at Tesla a couple of weeks ago when you started going all in on it. I went in a little bit. You went in aggressively, and you made a substantial profit off of that, which is how this game is supposed to be played. And I pulled out after a certain amount of profit. I shifted, I diversified my portfolio, which is a protective state. And
Right.
then when Tesla stated they were going to split stocks again, I was like, ah! And so then went back and bought, I bought some.
Yeah.
And actually, I bought a little bit more this time than last time, but I bought some and put it to the point where I said, you know what, this is just going to stay here. This is just going to
Nice.
stay because what is Tesla going to do, right? Tesla's going to continue to grow. I
Yeah.
remember talking to Mitch Jorsky, and he said, yeah, after he's like, I would wait to buy it, and that I love this about Mitch, right? Because he's always giving free advice, and
Yeah.
some things work, some things don't. He said, I would wait to because he thinks like a day trader. He said, I would
Yeah.
wait to buy it until after the stock splits because after the stock splits, everybody's going to buy in. It's going to go up. I
Right.
told him, I was like, Mitch, why don't I just buy beforehand? If I buy now, I can gain all of that madness.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, that would work too.
Well, I think what happened with me was I swear I said it's the universe because I think I just happened to have been looking at a lot of stuff on YouTube about Tesla.
Yeah.
And then, so I was sold on Tesla before COVID. And then when COVID hit, it dropped so significantly. And all the people I was watching on YouTube were still saying, this is silliness. This is not this affected by COVID. So, and you could see that their numbers were doing well at that point. So I think it was just, I think it was the universe because I remember being in the hallway with Brenda and I said, Brenda, this is our moment. I felt like it was cheesy. It was like I was in a movie, but I just said, you have no idea. This is our moment. And yeah, it's been great. It's cool.
Yeah,
It's cool.
absolutely phenomenal.
I just got to go buy a Tesla because everybody's telling me to go buy a Tesla.
Oh, I think that you should, right?
I
Keep those
liked you were
stocks
looking.
going.
I liked you were looking at the skylight. That's awesome, isn't it? The
Man, you
roof.
think about all the selfies people do, all the videos people do. Imagine like the skylight behind you, like it's all the way across. And then think about kids, right? Kids sit in the
Yeah,
back seat, they just look up, like, you're entertained for days. As long as it's got
yeah,
nothing going on up there,
it's
they're gonna
beautiful.
be fine.
Yeah,
So I think the design is phenomenal. The other stock that has been doing really well for us is EXP, right?
yeah.
A company.
Disruptor in the real estate industry. I love
It's
it.
so
Love it.
crazy because I've been investing in Realogy. I've been investing in what's the
Zillow,
other
you said?
one? Zillow. I've been in Redfin.
Redfin, I was gonna say. Yeah.
Some of these companies for a while, and EXP was always that one where I was like, I don't know if I really want to get into that.
Yeah.
But because there's like this little baby stock and this baby company, and like the salespeople are, whatever. There's not a ton of them.
Yeah.
So we joined EXP, and once I got on the inside, I was like, oh no, like this is insane.
That's
like,
awesome.
like people just don't know what this is.
Yeah, that's
Um,
awesome.
and so I instantly that day I bought 500 shares at $14.
Yeah, nice
And I
job.
bought another 500 at $19, and then I bought another 1,000 at $24, and now the stock
Wow.
is at
Crushing it. Nice
$30,
job.
right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's one of those. I think the stock will go to 80, honestly, because that's where Zillow is, that's where Redfin is. They're in that ballpark. I think that
Nice.
that's where that stock belongs.
Yeah, it's at 40.35 right now.
Yeah, and it's
Crazy. I bought it at 23.96, I think it was.
you've almost doubled your money.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You've almost doubled your money in that position. So now half
Yeah.
is house money, and the other
Yeah.
half is
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
keeping
But
it
from
invested.
listening to you, I believe in the company. I just think it's
Yeah,
a disruptor. And I love the fact that there's no bricks and mortar. That's just awesome.
they have eliminated all of the issues to real estate, and disruptors. I'm dedicated to investing in disruptors going forward.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where all the companies have always ever done well were companies that were filling a need in the marketplace that was so big that
Mm.
nobody else was filling, and they were doing it in a different way. Amazon, for
Right.
example, Google, IBM, Apple.
It's my belief. That's my belief with Lemonade. I'm just
Right.
excited about that one. We'll see.
Insurance.
Yeah.
And Lemonade's another one that
Yeah.
you can't kiss all the girls, Mike. You say
I just like lemonade because I figured out why they called themselves lemonade before I actually saw. Um, I'm sitting there and I said, lemonade, why the heck would an insurance company? And I said, I bet you it's like when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And sure enough, I saw the CEO on a YouTube video, and in the background, it says, when life gives you lemons, dot, dot, dot. It's awesome.
that
So,
alone. That alone. It's like, you know what? I'm in.
and
Insurance
all these
company.
things with artificial intelligence, if you listen to Elon Musk talk about artificial intelligence, it's just, you realize that he's always saying that it's much smarter than human beings, and it's just getting smarter and smarter. And so anything that is doing a play with artificial intelligence to figure things out, like I said, Lemonade pays claims in like 3 seconds based
Yep.
on their artificial intelligence. They can tell if something's a fraud or if it's real. And it's just getting smarter and smarter, just like Tesla's autonomous driving. It's just getting more and more data, smarter and smarter. And I just think millennials want stuff that's done quickly, and they like the Lemonade has a charity aspect to it. Anything over 25% that they make is donated to the charity of your choice,
I love it.
so that there's no conflict of interest. Because if you think about regular legacy insurance companies, their whole thing is to not pay claims because they make more money for their shareholders. But Lemonade has we're going to take 25%, and anything beyond that goes to charity. It's
Yep.
awesome.
I love
Smart.
it. I love it because, an insurance company makes their money on the float. That's really where the money's made.
That's
Is,
awesome.
is the money in between.
Yeah.
They're holding your money before that claim comes in.
Right.
If you invest it properly,
Yeah.
you're making your
Smart.
money on the float.
Right. Yeah.
As much,
I do like the philosophy too, though, because insurance companies, I always feel like it's a contentious relationship,
yeah,
You're like, all right, I guess I got to pay this amount for a premium, but are they going to pay it when I have a claim? You don't know.
right. Yeah,
So
I like eliminating that. And what you said about IT. So we're currently working
AI.
on AI. Yeah, wow. Very
Yeah.
cool, man. So we're coming up with a way where an investor can actually click through our site and automatically be given a real estate agent to work with, so that an
Nice.
investor friendly agent. So we haven't maximized it yet. Still, once we get the form through, we handle it personally, and we connect you with the right agent. But the goal would be, you fill out this form and instantly you're connected to an agent. You should be getting a phone call in a few minutes, and that agent's going to start looking for properties off market, like, setting up on a marketing plan. Like, so
That's awesome.
that's like the ultimate goal of all this. And Ron obviously is the king of,
Yeah.
systems and
Yeah.
websites. So between him, Doreen, and myself, we're working on this form so we can take in all of our students, because we have in meetup.com.
Mhm.
I didn't tell you, Mike. Oh, did I tell you? We expanded our meetup range.
Oh yeah, you said, I heard on one of the Zoom, 31 states or something like that, or
So we're in 31 major cities,
nice
and
job.
we're looking to double that by the end of the year. We want to expand to 60 major cities by the end of the year. So it's, we're dropping all these little pilot areas in, and we can do real estate all over the country now, right? Because we're
Yeah.
a rural company. We're not based on, I've got to do the transaction myself. We just consult, and then we pass the client along. So there's no reason to be barred by my Massachusetts license or Rhode Island license or New
So
Hampshire
what
license.
is it? So explain that. So you get somebody who comes from California. How do you,
So we have agents in California who we've been training on
mhm.
the alchemist mindset, investment mindset, how to invest. And so we have those agents already in our training program. So when we have an investor come through, boom, we line them up, and we just line them
Nice.
up. We get paid a referral when they close the deal, and every deal thereafter. So it's got a little residual. We couldn't have done that in any other brokerage. EXP allows that and gives us the ability to build teams all across the country,
Nice.
because we're one broker with
Right.
multiple brokers licenses.
That's
So it's,
awesome.
man, it's like, just untapping the potential. And
That's
so,
awesome.
so it's exciting times, man.
Yeah.
Stocks are up, companies building. We're training more people to become millionaires.
Hard to be modest.
Spirits are in. I'm going to hook you up with one Friday. I'll get one for Brenda as well. Just shoot me a text. Let me know what size you guys are.
Yeah,
And,
large and small.
stocks are on the rise. So if you're still paying attention to this, one, there's 4 steps to becoming wealthy. 4 steps. There's nothing else. If you're doing anything else, you're out of your mind. You're not doing wealthy steps. 1 is increase income. Always increase income. 2 is save to invest. 3 is study and invest. 4 is simplify your life. If you are making under $50,000 and not saving money, work on step 4 first. Go back, simplify. If you're making under $100,000 and you're not saving money, go back to step 4, simplify so you can save to invest. But
Nice.
once you've done that, like simplify is not a big part of your life. This is the part that I see in society way too much. Oh, I want to save some money. I'm gonna cut back. You can only cut so much. You can't get rich by cutting.
Right.
But
Right.
you want to seal up any leaks in the ship. But then go after income increasing opportunities, things that earn income. The stocks, you can't invest without having some sort of money. You could invest other people's money, but man, I would strongly suggest investing your own before you go and start investing others. And
Right.
same with real estate. You can invest without your own money, but man, I would really ask you to have some of your own skin in the game before you go play with other people's
Right.
money.
That's
Um,
good.
but if you can start working either, as a stock trader for other people, a stockbroker, or as a realtor, as an insurance agent, or as a mortgage broker, or an inspector, or a contractor, or any one of the trades in real estate, start earning an income off of doing the job in the trade. Well, that will get you in line with earning more income, and you can save that to invest. And eventually, once you've gotten a little bit of a reputation, sure, borrow other people's money and put their money to work safely and give that return. But in the beginning, you've got to step up your income earning abilities.
Right. That's a good point because a lot of times people are seeing the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early, and they're like, "Oh, I want to quit my job." And no, don't don't quit your
That
job.
was a good idea, actually. So hold on.
That's your income. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, at a certain point, when your passive income replaces your active income, you can think about that. But really, find a job that you enjoy doing in the meantime, so that you can get that income that you're talking about, Walter.
Yeah, Mike, that's the best advice you can give somebody, right?
Yeah.
Fire is a dangerous principle if you forget the part where they're like, you've got to have some money, right? Like
Right.
you can fire, right? You can have that financial freedom, but if you could save like you're about to live on less, right? Like even when
Right.
you quit your job to go to a different, like your
Yeah.
side hustle, there's a loss in income. There's
Yeah.
benefits you got to pay for yourself. There's vacation. There's like health benefits, like they're
Health
expensive.
benefits, right? It's
Yep.
huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not vacation, but we get as much vacation as we want. But hey, if you take too long, you're not getting paid anymore. So
If
there,
you're in that situation, I recommend that book Set for Life by Scott Trench because Scott started when he was 20 and he did get to the point where he had enough passive income to quit his day job. But if you follow him along, he's now the CEO at Bigger Pockets. So that's someone who could have, I guess, just not work a day job, but then you find maybe a job that you enjoy more. And then when you've got 500 plus units throwing off 12% free cash flow, then, feel free. But I guarantee when you get to that point, you're going to want to do something else.
yeah, Mike, I really am unemployable, but unhireable. Uh,
Yeah.
but I
It's
was
like,
thinking about it. Like, could I work for Sam Zell in an acquisitions role? It's
yeah.
possible. It's possible.
Yeah.
If
That's
it includes the
possible.
jet, if it means I'm flying all over the country talking to the biggest real estate investors,
Yeah.
maybe.
Right.
But
Right.
I'm not a long-term player. I'd want to start doing deals for myself.
Right. Exactly.
I'd be
Exactly.
there for a year or two, make them a couple billion, but then I'd have to do it.
Yeah. That's okay. We'll make our own REIT, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I was looking at UpReits. I sent you the
Oh
link.
yeah, you were telling me about that. That's good.
UpREIT is designed to do what we were talking about, where you just buy property using the sale of stocks. And so
Yeah.
it already exists. The structure exists.
Yeah. So if you have like 100 units, you sell those units to the REIT and you get shares in exchange for that, and there's no tax
No
consequences.
tax consequences.
That's beautiful. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
I know, Mike. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah,
So
just got to
for
go get more properties. Got to get that
that's it.
500. Yeah.
Time to go line them up, have a different kind of conversation with people. And then we have the decision of, do we want to go public, or like how long do we want to wait before we take it public? And then once we take it public, who's going to be the CEO? Who's running this thing? So
Yeah.
yeah, little stuff, little tiny things,
Oh, yeah. Minor. It's awesome.
minor.
Yeah. I love
Now,
this talk.
I think that the 100 Millionaires is a mission that you and I are on, and we're doing
Yeah.
really well with it.
Yeah.
Um,
We've
seeing
got T-shirts.
we've got T-shirts. It's but I did the math, and in order to build 100 Millionaires, we have to do 100 transactions specifically with investors who have committed to buying one piece of real estate for the next 3 to 5 years. And so transaction-wise, that's at least a minimum of 100 transactions per year in the multifamily arena. We do a lot of transactions all over the place, so we're probably looking
Nice.
at a 200 to 300 transaction year each year as we're going on this goal. And so we realized our infrastructure just isn't there. We just don't have
Right.
the infrastructure, the agents in line to do it. So we're building and we're looking for agents who have that ability to work in multifamily, work with investors, because that's how we're going to build the millionaires. You
That's
know,
awesome. Those numbers are cool. That's good to know.
when you
Good to
start
know.
looking at it, it's like, how do you do this?
Yeah.
So,
That's
Mike, you're going to have to handle a lot of closings because
that's okay. That's okay.
just a little ding in the universe
Gonna
here.
need as
Closing.
the Jaws, gonna need a bigger boat.
Mike, sign us off. What is it you say when we're ending our episodes?
Massive income from passive income.
When you
Peace.
have a choice, always work with the best.
Peace.